Once my dance lessons are over, I head back to my room to practice creating simple potions. It is a solitary task, one I normally practice in my free time. However, probably because I'm always so bored during the experiments, I fall asleep. I sit up groggily, realizing belatedly that I have fallen asleep at my desk. Various potion ingredients lay scattered on the surface. I stare at the clock. It's already the next day? How in the world did I sleep through last night's dinner? A knock sounds at the door.
Your Highness, His Majesty requires your presence in the throne room.
Understood. I wonder what he wants from me so early in the morning. Father is seated on his throne when I enter. Rod stands before him.
Good morning, Lucette.
Good morning, Father. I approach warily.
I called you here for an important announcement. Rod, would you like to do the honors?
I am surprised by the glowing smile on Rod's face.
I've officially asked permission from His Majesty to court you, Lucette.
Ah, that is so sweet. I don't trust all this good feelings I'm feeling, though. I don't know, things are going, pretty well. I stare between the two of them with wide eyes. When did this happen?
Last night. You were already asleep, so we thought it best to wait until morning to tell you.
I turn my baffled gaze to Rod, who is still smiling.
I thought about what you said. I agree. It's time we stop hiding. There's no reason for it anymore.
I move before I can think. In a heartbeat, I have my arms wrapped around Rod's waist and my head on his shoulder. It feels as if a momentous weight has suddenly been lifted from my shoulders. There will be no more hiding. Which means I no longer have to hide my affection for him. News of our courtship spread like wildfire. I am accustomed to gossip and am unfazed by the attention, but I can tell Rod is unnerved by the sudden spotlight. Still, we both do our best to continue our daily routines. I do notice, however, that Rod has become busier in recent days. He tells me he has been meeting with Father about important matters. I figure it is about the upcoming ball. Is it? Is it really? I have just finished my dance lessons for the day. Though Rod is meeting with Father in the throne room, I have no such obligations and decide to return to my room to read up on potion making. I am passing by the dining hall when I pause, hearing voices inside. Is it our gossiping maids?
And because he was so embarrassed, he ended up running away.
I hear laughter.
That definitely sounds like Rod.
Those voices. I push open the door to the hall. Oh, it's Mom and Emmeline. Okay. Oh no, Sebby, are you telling stories? Ophelia and Emmeline look up when I enter. I am shocked to see Sebby there too, sitting on Emmeline's shoulder. Before, Rod and Sebby were inseparable, but ever since Rod returned, I've barely seen them together. I wonder why. Oh, hello, Lucette.
Perfect timing! We were just talking about...
Emmeline cups her hand to her mouth, casts a surreptitious look over my shoulder, and then whispers.
Rod!
Obviously. Ophelia beckons me over to the table, then turns back to Sebby. So, what happened after that?
He refused to step out of his room the whole day. When others asked after him, he feigned sickness.
Huh. Why didn't he just refuse the gifts?
Probably because most of them were from noble women, and refusing outright would have been insulting.
What is this about gifts and noble women?
Oh, I was just telling everyone how popular Rod is with the Brigantian noblewomen. He was sent various gifts from young women on Heart's Day, but because he didn't want to refuse them, he avoided everyone altogether by staying in his room.
I do not realize I am glaring until Ophelia places a hand on my arm. He didn't accept them.
Lucette.
I forced the scowl from my face immediately, not even sure why it was there in the first place. 'Cause you jealous girl.
You don't need to worry, Princess. He told them he was in love with someone else.
I can feel my face heat at his words.
Ah, you're blushing.
I am not.
I promised to look after Rod, and I intend to keep that promise. And that goes for you too, Princess. If I have to drive away 100 women, I'll do it.
Yeah, go Sevi. The thought of a tiny plush bunny attempting to scare off a gaggle of girls makes me laugh. Before I know it, I become absorbed in the conversation. Hours later, when our conversation winds down, I make my way back to my room to read my potions book. Girl love her potions. Today, I'm going to the Marchen for one of my magic lessons. Or at least, that was my plan. Just yesterday, however, I received a letter from Parfait saying there was a change in plans. Everyone at the Marchen has decided to throw a small celebration for Rod and me. At first, Rod seemed reluctant to go, but he couldn't refuse after Parfait personally requested his presence. In the end, the two of us agree to go by carriage. Rod is already standing by the carriage when I arrive. I smile when our eyes meet, but Rod only nods, his mind seemingly elsewhere. I immediately notice the dark circles under his eyes. Everything all right?
I'm fine. I just didn't get much sleep last night. I was up reading the king's books far past midnight.
The king's books? I found out only a few days ago that Father started lending Rod specific study materials. Apparently, these books are meant to teach Rod more about the policies and rules governing our kingdom. I hope you are not overworking yourself. Rod smiles. It is a tired, but thankfully reassuring smile.
I'm not.
He holds out a hand and helps me into the carriage. I'll keep my eye on you, boo. No sooner have we entered the town that some of the path? Where did the P come from? The townsfolk, noticing the royal carriage, begin to wave at us. The response is uplifting. Before, the masses avoided me. Hooray! Now things are different. Things first began to change when I made a public apology after breaking my curse. Good on you, girl. Wow. Considering you really didn't have to apologize. I mean, a little for your cold personality, but understandable considering who your mom was. The townsfolk were at first skeptical of whether or not I would follow in my mother's footsteps as the Tenebrarum Bearer, but their trust began to grow when I started dispelling Fairytale Curses. Hey, boy.
Princess!
I look out the window and see a little boy running to keep pace with the carriage.
Can I give you something? A gift? Please?
I order the carriage to a stop and step out. The boy flashes a toothy grin. Then, without any preamble, he holds out a lily. My favorite flower.
I got this for you, Princess.
I take the flower from him with a gentle smile. Thank you. The boy clasps his hands behind his back and smiles shyly.
Someday, I'll become a prince and marry you.
Dang, how the tables have turned here. I am simultaneously bemused and taken aback by the confession. I appreciate your gift, but I'm afraid I am already courting a prince. I gesture at Rod, who stands between me and the carriage. The boy blinks.
But he's not a real prince, right?
I mean, that is kind of the whole point of the wish, so you're right. I kneel down in front of the boy so we can see eye to eye. But you do not need to be a prince to marry a princess.
Really?
Ophelia's words come to mind. One's title should not be a hindrance when it comes to love, she once said. Everyone is free to love whomever they want. The boy looks between the two of us. His bright smile returns.
That must mean Sir Rod loves you very much.
I'm not admitting it. Well, I am, but... I glance at Rod, whose cheeks have reddened to a soft crimson. Oh, he admitted it! Man, I love all the character development between these two. Come so far.
With all my heart.
The words come out a low mumble, and only the boy and I can hear them. Still, they make my heart flutter. I give the boy my heartfelt thanks before stepping back into the carriage. With all your heart, Rod crosses his arms and turns his head away, but there is no hiding the flush in his cheeks.
You already know that.
Of course I do. But you are not the type to boldly declare your love in front of others.
I wouldn't say I did it boldly.
Ah, okay, I picked the right choice there. Rod's voice is an embarrassed mumble. I cross my arms, thoughtful. I confess, I was a little taken aback by his comment.
Regardless of where his curiosity came from, the boy was right. I'm not a prince.
Why is that a problem? You yourself did not wish to remain a prince.
I know that.
He smiles weakly before turning his attention back to the view outside the window. Something definitely seems off about him. Are you reading like there's some old rule that's like, the princess may only marry a prince of noble birth, blah blah blah, but it's okay for the king to marry whoever he wants, blah blah blah. Rod, I don't like this. You're worrying me.
Princess Lucette! Rod! Welcome!
Anise is the first to welcome us when we arrive at the Marchen. No sooner have we stepped inside, however, that another person makes himself known. Chevalier or Claude?
If it isn't everyone's favorite princess!
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be you. Oh, you wear purple now. Oh, what a very nice curtsy. Looking good, Rumpelté Chevalier. Chevalier's smile is as sunny as always. He steps forward and sweeps into a courteous bow.
It's been a while, Princess Lucette.
That it has. Hello, Chevalier. Ever since Chevalier's curse was broken, he has been working at his clinic. Gone is the tenacious flirt I used to know. In his place is an optimistic doctor. Doesn't sound like Chevalier at all. Who still makes ill-timed jokes? Maybe he reins himself in for Rod's sake. Soon we are surrounded by people. Rod stands awkwardly in the center of the room, surrounded by Chevalier, Anise, Delora, and Parfait. Waltz is seated away from the commotion, leaning on an armrest with a grin on his face. Parfait's cousin, Cinna, is seated by the window, reading a book. He has not greeted either of us. Mom! Oh, I love your new outfit, and your hair, and you're so pretty. I missed you, Delora. It's been too long. Maybe this is just my imagination, but... Delora raises an eyebrow. Her Royal Highness is looking particularly buoyant today. And are your cheeks red? What? Delora, you shouldn't tease Lucette so much. Parfait beams. Let me look at you. I haven't seen you in color yet. You do look a lot better, though. Still got, like, the dark circles under your eyes, but I don't know. Something about you just looks a little healthier. Parfait beams. Being able to flaunt one's love is always a thing to celebrate. Delora looks at me and snorts. Who are you, and what have you done with the princess? I still can't believe you fell in love. I bristle at the words. It's not as if this is news. And anyway, what is that supposed to mean, Delora? Sorry, Princess. You're just too much fun to tease. But in all seriousness, I'm glad you found someone just as stubborn as you to cherish.
I'm standing right here.
Delora turns her grin to Rod. You must have some magic of your own, being able to melt the Ice Princess's heart. Come now, Delora, you're embarrassing them. They make it far too easy, Parfait. Rod turns away with a grumble, arms crossed. Chevalier breaks the momentary silence with an easygoing laugh.
It really is a pleasure to see you again, Sir Rod. I haven't seen you since you left for Brigantia that first time. I believe the last time you were...
He pauses, considering.
Well, you were much shorter. But now look at you. You're almost as tall as the rest of us.
Oof. He reaches out as if to set a hand on Rod's head, but Rod pulls away with a grimace.
What do you mean, almost as tall?
Waltz pointedly clears his throat and steps between Rod and Chevalier. Okay, you're still shorter than most of the guys, but you'd have grown quite a bit.
So, how are things at the palace lately?
Rod's expression softens. I can tell he is relieved by the change in subject.
They're all right. Busier than normal, but that's to be expected with the news.
Chevalier steps forward and squints at us in turn.
What? There are dark circles under your eyes. Have you been under more stress lately?
Rod raises an eyebrow.
It's rude to impede on someone else's space. Oh, my apologies.
Chevalier takes a step back.
And I'm fine.
Though Chevalier is quiet, I can tell by the wrinkle between his eyebrows that he is unconvinced. Before he can say anything else, I decide to offer my own opinion. Yeah, I mean, Rod doesn't share with most people, and he wouldn't with Chevalier especially. He might admit to me that he's under a little more stress, but he would never want that to be public knowledge, I don't think. That's up to him if he wants to share. I don't think I should be interfering in this conversation at all, but if I have to, I'm just gonna say he's doing well. Under the circumstances, he's doing okay. He's just been busy is all. He's working as a dance instructor and taking lessons with the king.
Your concern is unwarranted and unnecessary.
Chevalier smiles.
Sorry. I am, by my nature, a warrior.
It's true. Chevalier takes his work seriously.
A little too seriously, in my opinion.
Lady Delora, I'm only trying to keep my patients healthy.
He shakes his head.
Anyway, I'm relieved I'm just overthinking this.
I lean closer to Rod and whisper in his ear as the conversation carries on. You are not allowed to overwork yourself. Understood?
Understood.
He smiles, but it does not reach his eyes. Somewhere nearby, a book snaps shut. Cinna? Oh my goodness, what voice for Cinna?
Must all of you be so loud?
Oh my, I was not expecting you to be so tiny. You're a cutie. I like your sparkles and things. Trying to figure out what's on your sash. Is that just rope? Huh. Cinna approaches, book tucked under his arm.
I swear a person can't read in peace in this place.
He stalks out of the room with a glare affixed to his face. There is silence for a few moments when he leaves. Then Chevalier laughs.
The tiny lord is lively as always.
Tiny Lord. Waltz the Big and Tiny Lord. I have missed Chevalier and his nicknames. Tiny Lord? Why does he come up with the strangest nicknames? I guess that's one way of describing him.
He may seem temperamental, but I assure you, Cinnamon is quite pleasant once you get to know him.
Is he a cinnamon bun once you get to know him? I glance at Rod. Seems like a certain someone I know. Rod says nothing. Even as I watch, he stifles a yawn. His eyes look glassy. Exactly how many hours of sleep did you get last night?
An hour or two?
Rod, you're definitely pushing yourself too hard. Chevalier is right. You should take better care of yourself. I know you. You always push yourself. Rod shakes his head.
Never mind. It's nothing.
What? I know there's something on your mind, Rod. Oh, is that from my decision earlier? Rod responds with a smile. When I continue to scowl at him, he plants a kiss on my forehead.
I swear, it's nothing important. Don't worry. I'll get some rest when we get back to the palace.
Fine. Though not all of the old boarders are present today, we decide to make the most of our small reunion. Anise prepares a small meal for dinner, and the gathering is lively.
It's a shame Sir Garland and Lady Jurian couldn't be here. And it's been months since we saw Prince Claude.
Yeah, I was hoping to see Garland and Jurian. It's been ages. The knights wanted me to apologize on their behalf. They have been busy training new recruits.
And the last time Claude wrote, he said he was busy with his duties. I doubt he'll be free anytime soon.
I'm glad he still sends us letters every so often. I do rather miss having Miss Karma around.
Someone doesn't.
Ugh, speak for yourself. Miss Karma was always staring daggers at me.
With good reason.
Lady Delora!
I'm sure we'll get the chance to have a bigger reunion soon.
Like at my wedding? The conversation goes on, but I notice one person has remained quiet throughout. 'Cause he's super sleepy. This boy needs a bed. Stat. Rod has not spoken a word since we started eating. Is it because he's tired? Stressed? Or is there something else on his mind? I hope I can get to the root of whatever it is soon. He'll tell us when he's ready. He likes to mull over things for a while. No more secrets. I wonder how many chapters are in the original game. I think there was 10. I'd be surprised if it was that many for the fan disc, but we'll see. When we returned to the palace last night, Rod immediately retired to bed. I was up all night thinking about him, and how strange he has been acting. I am resolved to pry some answers from him today, which is why I am standing outside the throne room waiting for him to finish his lessons with Emmeline. My heart sinks when Emmeline exits with a gloomy expression on her face.
Did something happen? Rod looks exhausted.
That's what I intend to find out.
Whatever it is, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I hope so. Emmeline gives me a confident pat on the shoulder as I enter. I am a little concerned, though, if he didn't tell you, Emmeline. You are twins, after all. Or, are you twins? I can't remember now. I thought they were twins. Or is she the older sister? Either way. Although he doesn't often tell Em a lot of things, because they're kind of opposite. She's very much a sharer, and he is not. Inside, Rod is standing by the window, his back to me. Rod? When he turns to face me, he looks downtrodden. It is enough to make my heart sink.
Oh, Lucette.
May I speak with you? There is a long pause before he nods. I said this yesterday as well, but you did not seem well when we were having lunch at the Marchen. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
You keep saying that, and I know it is not the truth. Do you trust me so little? Rod's expression shudders.
Never. I trust you with my life, Lucette.
Then why won't you talk to me? I move closer, close enough to examine his face. The dark circles are still there, and I can tell from his rigid posture that he is tense. Were you up again last night? I thought you said you were going to rest early.
I did go to bed early, but falling asleep is another thing entirely.
What kept you awake?
I just have a lot on my mind.
Is there anything I can do to help? Rod shakes his head.
Thank you for worrying about me, Lucette, but this is something I need to sort out myself. It's not that I don't trust you. I just don't have the right words yet.
You need to stop pushing yourself, Rod. We all have our limits. Rod stiffens.
I know that, but I didn't sacrifice everything just to hit a wall like this.
He offers a feeble smile.
You know what? You're right. Maybe the rest will do me some good. I'll see you later, Lucette.
He heads for the door, shoulders slouched beneath some invisible weight as he exits. I feel like he's discovered some kind of rule that is gonna be bothersome. The sudden solitude falls on my shoulders like a cold blanket. I wish suddenly, with all my heart, that he had never made that wish. I wish for the wish to be unwished. Rod seems to only become more frazzled over the next couple of days. There has been no improvement in his condition. He tells me that his exhaustion stems from the stress he is under to meet everyone else's expectations, and that he just needs to become accustomed to them. But he says that every day, and there is still no change. This can't go on. I'm worried about his health. I force myself to stop pacing. If he's not worried about himself, then perhaps I ought to make this about me. I can tell him that my worry for him makes it impossible for me to focus on anything. Oh boy. I guess that's an option. I nod to myself and, mind made up, walk out of the room to find Rod. I ask around the palace, but though my search is extensive, Rod is nowhere to be found. Where is he? I am just about to turn a bend in the corridor when Emmeline suddenly appears.
Oh, Lucette!
Emmeline.
I heard you've been asking around about Rod.
Yes, do you know where he is? Emmeline crosses her arms and regards me thoughtfully.
I do. Let's talk in private.
Talk in private? Why? I concede, regardless of my confusion. We can speak in my room. I'll order some tea to be delivered. Okay. On my command, the maids prepare and serve us biscuits and tea. I dismiss them once they have set everything on the table, then turn to Emmeline expectantly. So, why are we having a private discussion?
Well, it's about Rod, but I'm sure you knew that. Don't tell him I told you anything, okay?
I won't tell, I promise. Emmeline smiles, looking a little defeated.
He's in the forest today, and he'll be there until sunset.
The forest? What is he doing there?
Well...
Emmeline's eyes flit to the biscuits on her plate. She fidgets, looking uncertain. It's okay. You do not have to tell me. I'll find out myself.
Sorry.
Do you at least have some idea of why he is acting so strange? Rod says he trusts me, but I assume there are some things he feels more comfortable telling Emmeline. They are siblings, after all. Emmeline hesitates a moment before answering.
I do, but not because he willingly told me about it.
Did Sebby tell you? Emmeline sips absently at her tea.
You know how Rod is. He can be so secretive when it comes to his own matters.
That is a severe understatement.
I'm sorry for not saying anything. I don't want to put myself between the two of you. I know this is a personal matter.
So why are you telling me where I can find Rod now?
I've seen his exhaustion, same as you, and I'm worried about him. He won't listen to me, so I'm hoping he'll listen to you.
Does Ophelia know?
Yes and no. Mother knows he's stressed, but I doubt she knows how much he's been pushing himself.
I sigh as I set down my cup. Thank you for telling me this, Emmeline. Emmeline smiles.
Good luck, Lucette.
After Emmeline excuses herself, I head out to search for Rod in the forest.
Darling.